This is VeeSpot News. This is a news story that I had inquired yesterday, and I will be doing more investigation about this crime as time goes on. I'll be keeping up with it, so please make sure to follow me on the V Lounge. I will put a link somewhere in the description, and let's follow it together.
6:04 right now. This morning, there's still been no arrest after the body of a 21-year-old woman was found in the middle of the street in Cockeysville over the weekend. Dave Detling is live at police headquarters right now. And Dave, we've heard from the family of the victim in this case. What are they saying about what happened?
Hey, good morning, Christian. Well, they spoke off camera and they say that the victim, 21-year-old Lyric Brown, had an infectious smile, that she loved to make people laugh, and that she leaves behind a young daughter. Now, here is a photo of Lyric Brown. Baltimore County Police said they found Brown's body in the middle of the road at the intersection of Sorley Road and Old Providence Way in Cockeysville over the weekend. A call came in around 1 a.m. Saturday. The caller saying that a woman's body was in the middle of the road, and according to police, when they arrived on scene, they found Brown in the middle of the street with wounds, gunshot wounds to her upper body. She was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. Now, the area where Brown's body was found is also surrounded by apartment complexes, and she did live nearby. So police particularly, they are hoping that someone saw or heard something. And of course, if you know anything about this case, you're urged to give Baltimore County Police a call. Reporting outside police headquarters, Dave Detling, WMAR 2 News.
Officers were called to the intersection of Sorley Road and Old Providence Way at around 1 o'clock Saturday morning and found 21-year-old Lyric Brown lying in the street. Investigators say that she'd been shot and she died later at a hospital.
Heartbreaking. And she's still a child herself at 21. I mean, it makes no sense.
Police are asking for possible witnesses to help with the investigation, while people who live in that area say they hope investigators find the person responsible quickly.
I actually came out around 9 o'clock to walk the dog the other day, and I was a little nervous because it was dark, and I thought, geez, should I be on guard? Was this someone that she knew? I don't know.
The intersection where Brown was found is surrounded by apartment complexes, and Brown lived just a couple of blocks away. Police haven't given a possible motive in the case, but Monday said that they're exploring every avenue, including the possibility that Brown was targeted.
It's totally senseless. It's just about as bad as war. I mean, young people dying daily, even children. It's horrible. I don't like the world we live in.
And that was Kai Reed reporting tonight.
Since Marshawn Lynch is one of my favorite football players, I decided to put this clip in. Looks like he's back on the field. You guys enjoy this.
Right, Marshawn Lynch is back in Seattle. He's going to play on Sunday for the Seahawks against the Niners. Why? Chris Carson, done for the year. CJ Prosise, done for the year. Seattle, shrugging their shoulders. We need a running back. Who could fit in immediately? That guy, Marshawn Lynch, 33 years old, parts of 6 seasons in Seattle. He did retire last April. And think of it this way, 8 days ago, he was serving tequila in the parking lot at the Raiders finale. Now he's the toast of the town up in Seattle. 5-time Pro Bowler, kid who went to Cal, leading rusher on the Seahawks when they went to back-to-back Super Bowls, won one. Should have won another, and you know why they didn't? Because they didn't run Marshawn Lynch. Anyway, there you go. Marshawn Lynch, welcome back.
This next story covers some of the senseless gun violence going on in New York City at the moment. You guys check the story out and tell me what you think in the comments.
Gun violence, it is a problem that we have been reporting, and in the last 24 hours, several more people have been injured or killed in separate shootings.
CBS 2's Natalie Dudridge spoke to one of the latest victims, a veteran who was hit by a stray bullet.
Surveillance video shows a group of men running as a man in a white hoodie pulls out a gun. Another person in red takes cover and climbs into the backseat of a car and pulls away. Police say an argument turned violent at 5th Avenue and East 118th Street around 6 p.m. Tuesday. This man, Wilbert Greer, who goes by Tony, shows us where he was grazed by a stray bullet.
Oh man, just pretty shooken up, still shooken up from the impact.
Greer points to spots where bullets appear to have bounced off the glass of the deli where he works. He and the deli owner are veterans, so their instinct was to protect the people inside.
While the bullets were firing, we had to stand in front of the kids until they got scrambled to safety. We were in Desert Storm together, the same platoon. So we started searching each other's bullet holes.
Gun violence continues to spike in the city. So far this year, there have been 945 shooting victims. Early this morning, just after 12, police say a 45-year-old man was shot in a carjacking. He was driving on the small Washington Bridge, not the GWB, near 181st Street, when at least one bullet hit him in the head, causing him to crash the car. Investigators say the suspects, a group of men riding dirt bikes, left the driver for dead and stole his vehicle, but he survived.
It's very scary. I mean, I was out here last night, and I didn't even know that. I just saw the cops there, but I didn't know what was going on. So to know that happened is just ridiculous. I actually grew up around here, so it's really scary.
The NYPD says it's responding to the violence with new initiatives. Most recently, 100 officers were assigned to the Bronx, where a 13-year-old was killed in a gang-related shooting over the weekend. Natalie Doudridge, CBS 2 News.
I want you guys to take a look at this next story coming out of New Jersey and tell me what you guys think in the comments.
Filed against Milburn police over how they handled an altercation at the mall at Short Hills.
Video you're about to see shows a woman becoming emotional after she is accused of trying to attack another woman. Here is CBS 2's Meg Baker.
Oh, God, no, it's you.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I never thought nothing like this would happen to me. She just tried to run and hit me. And now she...
Ijoma Ukenta posted this video and many more of an incident that happened in Victoria's Secret on Saturday. She says to protect herself from any false accusations. Abigail Elphick was identified in Milburn's police report as the woman seen on the floor by the checkout. In the videos, Ukenta says Elphick cut in front of her while she was shopping.
I was over here looking at the sale items.
Right.
So she came back and she put She came back and she put an item back in front of me. So
Okay.
after she put the item back in front of me, she begins skimming through the codes like right in my face. I said, "Excuse me." Then she just completely went over to them, asked them to call security, went off. She dropped on the floor. She screamed. She chased me.
Is everything okay?
No, I feel in danger.
Videos show Elphick chasing Ukenta
Look at this.
and charging towards her several times. Another time with her fist held tight. Instead of leaving the store, Elphick falls to the floor. She then calls police.
She's recording my mental breakdown. This is crazy. She pushed me to this point.
It takes more than 5 minutes for security to show up, then finally the police. Police say they spoke to Elphick first because she made the call. Standard procedure.
And she's crying and they just being all sympathetic to her tears. I don't care about her white tears. She chased me around the store and tried to attack me twice.
In the report, police write that Elphick, quote, seems to acknowledge she was wrong, not specifically identifying what she did that was wrong. Police asked if Elphick needed an ambulance and if she was okay to drive. She said she was and kept expressing concern about her job and apartment.
See, look at all this concern for this lady. Nobody asked me, was I all right? Did I need medical attention? For all they know, I have anxiety too.
Ukenta says she is filing charges against the officers, saying things were not handled correctly. In a statement, Milburn police explained they did not have the authority to escort Elphick out of the mall because they had no indication that an arrestable offense or crime had been committed. In Milburn, New Jersey, Meg Baker, CBS 2 News.
Now, this next story often saddens me because now we have 3 young Black men in the jail system. Take a look at this story. coming out of Philadelphia.
3 people under arrest this morning after a man was found shot to death inside of a car Saturday in Ardmore. The suspects have been arraigned on several charges, including murder. Eyewitness News reporter Howard Monroe is live this morning in Ardmore with what one suspect had to say to our cameras. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning to you, Janelle. Those 3 suspects will wake up in jail this morning. That homicide happened here outside of the Ardmore Community Center Saturday afternoon. 21-year-old Dorian Harris being escorted into court Sunday afternoon. He is now charged with unlawful transfer of a firearm. Investigators say he is the roommate of 19-year-old Leif Evans. Evans was found dead in his car Saturday afternoon outside of the Ardmore Community Center.
I didn't plan to go like this. I'm innocent. Leif Evans. I didn't want it to go like this.
Also charged are 19-year-old Micah Colbert of Ardmore and 21-year-old Elijah Smith of Philadelphia. They are facing murder and robbery charges. Lower Merion police say Colbert and Smith arranged to purchase a ghost gun from Evans, and the meeting ended with Colbert shooting Evans in the face. Investigators say surveillance video, eyewitness accounts, text messages, and phone records quickly led them to develop the 3 suspects connected to the homicide. Colbert and Smith are being held without bail at the Montgomery County Jail. The homicide that happened in the middle of the afternoon sent shockwaves through the community.
I was freaked out, but it was more so like we didn't know exactly what happened. We just knew someone was killed. And people were saying shot and stuff like that, but it wasn't so much I just wanted my kids to be in the house.
And all 3 men are set to appear in court on July 20th. Live in Ardmore, Howard Monroe, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Now, this story comes out of Rhode Island. Yes, I said Rhode Island. So check this one out and tell me what you guys think.
Camera this week, police releasing body camera footage of a disturbance on Sales Street. In the last few hours, police and city officials provided an update on their investigation. 12 News reporter Brittany Schaefer was at the press conference. She joins us live now from the Providence Public Safety Complex with the details.
Well, Patrick, Mayor Jorge Elorza says this is a full and open investigation that is still ongoing. He says in the video he saw 2 things. He saw officers acting professionally and de-escalating the situation, but he also saw incidents of some officers using inappropriate language and actually escalating the incident. Providence police responding to this neighborhood dispute for 3 hours Tuesday. The incident believed to have stemmed from a feud between 3 households where a 7-year-old child was threatened. Body camera footage shows police were initially able to calm things down. But this cell phone video shows a different scene, shouting, arrests being made, and pepper spray, all with young children nearby.
At one point, every patrol car, an unmarked unit that was free was at the scene.
Chief Colonel Hugh Clemens says over 35 officers responded. He says police have responded to these residences 42 times in the last 18 months. Cell phone video shows a man in the middle of Sales Street, then a group of 7 officers step in. Seconds later, a brawl between residents and police.
That individual was the agitator and was involved in a physical confrontation. That's when they moved to grab him away from the crowd.
5 people were arrested in the incident and charged with disorderly conduct, assaulting a police officer, and resisting arrest. But people who live in the neighborhood want disciplinary action for officers they say used excessive force and pepper sprayed children. Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Perry says the pepper spray was used to create distance and appears to be in policy, but he says language by officers was inappropriate.
There'll be responsibility and accountability for that. That's not what we're about. But understanding that in the heat of the moment, there's no excuse to use that kind of language.
And Mayor Jorge Elorza says the department will be releasing more body camera footage as soon as possible, likely next week. For now, live in Providence, I'm Brittany Schaefer, 12 News.
This story comes out of St. Louis, Missouri. This story is very true. A lot of times we don't realize how much stress or anxiety that plagues our young people. So I want you guys to take a look at this next story.
Effects from COVID are far from over. Kids often bearing the brunt of it. Tonight, medical experts say Missouri is facing a pediatric behavioral health crisis.
Hospitals warn there aren't enough beds to keep up with demand. And News 4's Kim St. Ange is live at St. Louis Children's Hospital tonight. And Kim, that hospital has already made some changes in order to try to keep up with this.
And here's how. So Children's recently had to expand its behavioral health unit onto some other floors just to make room for all of the patients, and is still at capacity. The hospital telling me it sees between 8 and 15 kids coming here per day for these behavioral health issues, and some of those range from eating disorders, anxiety, suicide attempts, and psychosis.
It's absolutely heartbreaking, and it's scarier really for the patients and their families.
Trish Lalo, president of St. Louis Children's Hospital, says they're struggling to keep up with demand for mental health services for kids. Some patients being forced to wait hours, sometimes days in the emergency room, waiting for a bed in the behavioral health unit to open, which Lalo says can increase the child's anxiety. For mom Deanna Pruitt,
they wasn't able to socialize with their friends, and especially for my daughter.
COVID restrictions made it tough for her daughter. School shut down, her dance studio closed. Socialization came to a halt. Though this statewide mental health crisis started well before COVID, nationwide, the suicide rate for kids 10 to 24 increased 60% from 2007 to 2019. Emergency room visits for suicide attempts doubled at children's hospitals from 2008 to 2015. COVID intensified those troubling trends.
While COVID-19 wasn't the issue per se, it was everything we did to control spread of the virus that we believe will have long-lasting effects on the children now and ultimately their mental health in the future.
The impact is felt at hospitals across Missouri. SSM Health says its new behavioral health urgent care has seen over a 50% increase in child and adolescent patients needing help. Lalo says there's been about a 30% increase in kids showing up to the ER at St. Louis Children's Hospital now compared to pre-pandemic. She believes partnering with other hospitals and agencies is the solution to get in front of the crisis.
Working together, I have no doubt that we can turn this around.
And no doubt that kids have definitely taken the brunt of this COVID crisis. Kim talking about how they have to go from in-person learning to virtual learning, sometimes flip-flopping back and forth. That can be really stressful for kids who crave consistency, especially. So what other ways can parents get help if they think their kids have behavioral issues?
That was the big question I was asking, Sam, asking these experts, what do we do for the kids before it gets to that acute phase where they end up here maybe in the emergency room at St. Louis Children's Hospital? The good news is there are so many great organizations, so many resources that you as a parent can take advantage of right here in the St. Louis area. Just to name a couple, you have Chad's Coalition. You also have an organization called NAMI St. Louis. We linked both of those and other organizations. Just find this story on KMOV.com.
This next story comes out of Seneca, Illinois. Check this out.
Good afternoon, I'm Erica Sargent. Right now, a gaping hole where a road used to be and a truck stuck on top after the pavement crumbled underneath. CBS 2's Meredith Barrick is live in Seneca, southwest of Chicago, with new information on the driver who was rescued. Meredith.
Erica, I'm told the hole behind me is anywhere from 12 to 18 feet deep. Heavy rain caused creek water to rise, causing the roadway to collapse. The video shows an incredible scene, the truck resting both bumpers on either side of the washed-away road. We've learned the truck belongs to the LaSalle County Highway Department, and one of their employees was behind the wheel.
He was able to climb out through the window with the help of some good Samaritans, be pulled off the hood of his truck to safety.
Lamboli considers the driver incredibly lucky, as the outcome could have been incredibly different.
His truck fit perfectly over the hole, and that he didn't actually fall into the hole himself, even get swept away down to the river because of the way the water was running.
These photos show the truck being towed away.
The front of it was gonna fall in pretty quick because it was still collapsing. It was one of the more complicated because it just happened to be the right length to fall through.
The hole is now being blocked by barricades as crews surveyed the damage.
And could be replacing the entire, not only the roadway that washed away, but the bridge that accompanies with it.
You can see from our drone how deep the hole is. The concrete that held up the bridge and ground that washed away. As for when River Road and when all this will be fixed,
that's going to take time, that's going to take money to do it fiscally responsible, but in a timely fashion. That's going to be the difficult thing that my village is going to have to figure out how to do.
as for the driver, we've learned he was out here checking the roads for the LaSalle County Highway Department. He is a little banged up this afternoon because the airbags did deploy. He's currently resting at home. Reporting live in Seneca, I'm Meredith Barrick, CBS 2 News.
Now, this next story also comes out of Missouri. I felt the need to actually put this clip in here because this man was wrongfully convicted and they will not let him out. So I will be doing a true crimes to dig more into this case. I'm not familiar with this case. It hasn't got very much traction as far as the news go, but I'll be digging into this case too.
Court to free Lamar Johnson. He's been the focus of numerous KCTV5 investigations. Lamar swears he is not guilty of murder, and the real killers agree. But he's still in prison because of legal technicalities. So today, Missouri Governor Mike Parson signed a bill that gives prosecutors the power to bring cases like Lamar's back to court. But his lawyers are exploring all options. KCTV5 investigative reporter Angie Riccono explains why. This case stretches back to 1994. Lamar Johnson has been in prison for 26 years, watching history roll by. Some sad moments, some happy moments. When you stop and think about it, that's 5 different presidents. His lawyers say he has a clear case of innocence and a judge needs to free him.
This is it, that I just have to stay in prison despite what's been found? How is that justice? There should never be a situation where you don't have a remedy. I don't know.
This is Lamar Johnson back in 2019. Baffled he was sitting in prison. Truth be told, we were baffled too.
God has another plan for me. It's got to have a different purpose for me than to die here.
This is a case that will test faith. Lamar Johnson was convicted of murdering a friend, but he had an alibi.
And I just kept saying, I didn't do it, this is where I was.
Johnson thought if he cooperated with police, things would get sorted out. He's now sat in prisons for 26 years. Johnson was largely convicted based on an eyewitness who didn't know him, but somehow identified him as the masked killer running in the dark.
You can see there's nothing that distinct about my eyes.
St. Louis District Attorney Kim Gardner took an independent look at the case. She discovered the main witness who testified was paid in exchange for testimony. She released a 70-page report calling it an unconstitutional police investigation, which included the term prosecutorial misconduct. She ends her summary flat out calling what happened as Johnson's wrongful conviction. It's something prosecutors and courts could have rectified decades earlier. You see, the real gunman confessed and cleared Johnson in this letter before he was even sentenced to life without parole. It opens with, Lamar, that's up you got convicted when you didn't do a thing.
He says who did, why they did it, how it happened.
No one cared to listen, and that's the way it's been decade after decade. Over the years, courts ruled Kim Gardner didn't have the power to right this wrong. No one even argues Lamar Johnson is actually guilty. He's a prisoner of legal circumstances. That now changes with Parsons' signature of a new bill. Prosecutors can now bring old cases back to court. It's Missouri law. So it's possible Kim Gardner could petition the court under a new set of circumstances. But the Midwest Innocence Project has already filed a petition calling for his release.
This is a solved crime. The 2 actual perpetrators have confessed. They've come forward. They've talked exactly about how this crime occurred. And it was impossible for Lamar to have committed it.
Lamar's legal team has been fighting for years, pointing out the obvious flaws in this case and the fact that Lamar had an alibi.
There's no question that he's innocent and he needs to come home.
We've kept in touch with Lamar over the years through emails. Sometimes it's quick phone calls and we pull over. He says the last few years have tested his faith.
I don't know what more it's going to take. And so that's what's most frustrating because I don't know what else to do.
We'll keep you posted on Lamar's case. Angie Riccono, KCTV5 News.